Hello everyone, Razorblade Mango here. And before I begin this video, I want to give a brief little warning about what this video is going to be, because it's not going to be a very pleasant subject for me to talk about. I hardly ever get really worked up over these kinds of situations when they happen, but when they do, even most of the time when I have an idea to record a video about this, I stop myself and I give it a night and I sleep on it, and I normally don't make them because if I really let them get to me, your feed would be flooded with videos about this kind of stuff, and I don't want that for the channel. That's not what this channel is usually about, but I feel compelled to talk about this, and I have slept on it actually for a couple of days. And I still feel the burning desire to talk about it. So, and I also want to talk about it because I think it is becoming something of an unfortunate trend among discussion of this game, where we, in order to validate talking about Hogwarts Legacy, it's like you have to acknowledge the controversy around J.K. Rowling, who, of course, if you haven't been living under a rock, is the author of Harry Potter and other things. And I want to say that I think it is perfectly valid to do a review of the game without discussing J.K. Rowling, which is exactly why I'm making this video, because I want it separated from the critique of Hogwarts Legacy when that finally comes around. Because I do think it's possible to talk about Hogwarts Legacy without J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling does not have an influence on how Hogwarts Legacy operates as a video game. So I think it's perfectly fine to separate the two. So consider this video kind of a prologue to the full critique that's going to come. And the first thing I want to lead with is that I think it is perfectly legitimate to have the opinion that you will not be supporting Hogwarts Legacy because of J.K. Rowling. I think that's perfectly fine. I've had both trans and non-trans friends express this sentiment to me, and I think that's perfectly fine. What I have a problem with is the absolutely, overwhelmingly nuclear meltdown that lots of people on social media have had over this game existing, and coping with the fact that lots and lots of people are excited to play it and playing it. What I have a problem with is the shaming and harassment of others for not submitting to their belief that Hogwarts Legacy shouldn't be played, and playing it somehow supports transphobic beliefs, which I think is such a, an entitled, arrogant viewpoint to have, that it's the problem with it is that it's a very social media specific mindset to have, but it's bled over into more mainstream areas of the video game industry. And these people that are making this, what I think is a really just bafflingly terrible argument, these people would have a Lovecraftian-esque mind melt if they really attempted to comprehend the scope of what they are saying. That being associated with something, wanting to purchase a product, automatically means that you support a certain kind of negative belief. Yeah, no, that doesn't, real life does not work like that. And I don't think these people quite understand the scope of their hypocrisy. And again, I think if they tried to comprehend it, their brain would start leaking out of their ears. We can play this game all day long to its logical endpoint, but I truthfully think 99% of people out there are smart enough to know that there is no such thing as perfectly ethical consumption in the modern era, especially if you live in one of these like any of these like bustling cities and well-populated areas like I do, like probably the vast majority of you listening to this do. Perfectly ethical consumption is borderline impossible in this day and age. Paying for an iPhone does not mean you support child slave labor. Purchasing a game that Tencent co-funded does not mean you automatically support the chemical castration of Uyghur Muslims and sending them to concentration camps. That is not what that means at all. And anyone trying to make the argument about one specific thing and then ignoring all this other stuff is a complete hypocrite. And I also genuinely believe that most trans people either don't want to support rolling but are okay with people playing and enjoying the game, or are going to play the game themselves. What I have a problem with are the people that are going after others for simply playing a video game and then trying to make this asinine point about how somehow you are not a good ally to trans rights, or you're transphobic, or you're this kind of ism or ist or phobic for playing a fucking video game. And it just, to me, this shows a complete lack of common sense, decency, and integrity in the video game journalism clique. This weirdo Twitter bubble of video games journalism. And the main thing that strikes my ire is I want to hone in on a very specific case in this toxic sludge. And the springboard of this comes from what happened with Girlfriend Reviews. Or if you don't know who Girlfriend Reviews is, they're now fiance. It's a guy and girl. They're engaged to be married. And they play video games for a living. And they make great videos. And they're really nice. And they're very sweet. And they're very wholesome. What happened was that they got a review copy of Hogwarts Legacy from WB to play on stream, which they did, and then they also, in the Twitch description, had a link set up so that you could go to a trans charity to support there, if you don't want to give them money on Twitch, like a subscriber or something like that. And the amount of shit that Girlfriend Reviews got, not only in that chat during the initial stream, but the aftermath of it was just, for me, it was appalling. And I'm hardly ever fazed by a lot of this anymore. Like, most of the time when I see this, it's irritating, but I go, well, that's pretty par for the course for this kind of clique. But it was something about Girlfriend Reviews getting harassed, and then seeing again, this video game journalists clique who are like normally very hypersensitive about one of their own getting the mildest pushback or the mildest bit of criticism. They all of a sudden are trying to justify that it's okay to harass Girlfriend Reviews in any way. And the big case that I want to point to is the editor-in-chief of this really just terrible website called The Gamer, whose name is Stacey Henley. She wrote this really, quite frankly, nasty, cruel, mean-spirited article about how the situation where Girlfriend Reviews was getting harassed over this has been exaggerated. And she basically the writer basically mocked Shelby, who's the girlfriend in Girlfriend Reviews, basically mocked Shelby for holding back tears on stream. And I'm not going to go through the whole article, but there is one or two specific sections that I did want to bring up. And the first one is, right from the beginning, I think it's very clear to me that this article is not coming from a place of, I think, genuineness and decency. It says, the big news in the wake of Hogwarts Legacy's launch is that a cisgender white girl cried about it. Nothing should surprise me with the Harry Potter game, but I will admit this is a bold new direction. Trans people and their allies are now bullies for explaining why they don't support the game. Victim cosplay is back in fashion. This sentiment has been growing for a while now. Streamers and players who consider themselves good people are upset that, after supporting Hogwarts Legacy, not everyone agrees with them. This lack of agreement upsets them, and so if you are behind this sinister campaign, you must be a dirty, rotten bully. I know the creator of this world uses her income and platform to help legitimate lives out of existence, but also some people really liked her books 10 years ago. That's what it comes down to. This came to a head with the channel Girlfriend Reviews, which touts itself as a wholesome place that, much like a certain mainstream gaming outlet, only considers whether a game is fun to play or not. A short clip of the game paused where the boyfriend and girlfriend complain about comments leading to the girlfriend leaving, has become a figurehead for how trans people have morphed overnight from the world's victims to the world's bully. To me, there is so much wrong with just these opening 3 little paragraphs that it's quite overwhelming. And I think the main thing that really clues in to how this writer operates off of making other people upset and getting SEO farming clicks out of it is that she leads with this in the article that a cisgender white girl cried about it. And just that little sentence right there says a lot. So first of all, I think calling anyone cisgender or white in like a negative context like this, I think that to me just shows what a cruel person you are. And also the fact that she says cried about it. To me, it sounds very dismissive, very condescending, and this is just so hypocritical coming from, not only has this writer gone off on people for giving this website or any of its staff mild pushback on things that they write, this really exposes this whole mindset of, oh, it's okay for me to bully somebody as long as they're doing something that I think is wrong. But the moment they come after me with mild criticism, then it becomes harassment, then it becomes transphobia, then it becomes racism. And they play this game year in and year out with mild controversies that they make mountains out of molehills over. And quite frankly, I think a lot of people are just sick of it. And this article is just it just typifies this hypocrisy so well. And another part of this article that I find just so rich is that this person, Stacey Henley, then tries to downplay the harassment that Girlfriend Reviews was getting and says things like, was this person being bullied? Did they actually even cry? Neither of these things have any real proof behind them. Because whenever somebody attacks one of their own or somebody criticizes one of their own in this clique, they care then about finding any real proof behind it. They take the tiniest little bit of evidence that somebody was getting some shit online and they just run a fucking mile with it. They do this all the time. Her in particular, Stacey Henley, is extremely hypocritical because she went on Colin Moriarty's Sacred Symbols Plus show one time to talk about the state of video games journalism. And her reasoning for wanting to go on the show is because she accused his audience of harassing the website and her staff for this admittedly terrible article at the time about how Sifu, the Kung Fu game, being developed by a team of all white people was somehow a bad thing, somehow a problematic thing. I love that, again, it's okay when I harass somebody or when I criticize somebody and they get upset about it because I'm doing this for my righteous cause. But when somebody else harasses my staff or somebody gives mild criticism, that's when I draw the line. And I love how she starts playing this game in the article about, well, is there any proof? Is there really any controversy around this? Did she actually cry? Like, she's actually trying to get to the nitty-gritty of what actually happened in this specific case. But when people were giving her and her staff shit online for that Sifu article, she immediately just labeled it as, oh, it's harassment. oh, I'm getting harassed. So the double standard of this situation to me is, quite frankly, it's astounding. And what's also come up too about Hogwarts Legacy is that there is a trans character in the game. She's the bartender for the Three Broomsticks in Hogsmeade. It's not a spoiler. It happens in like the first hour of the game. And these people online are so hell-bent on creating any little tiny bit of ammo or any tiny bit of controversy to use against Hogwarts Legacy that they're like bending the logic of reality to try to fit their own agenda. And I saw one tweet in particular talk about how the name of the trans character in Hogwarts Legacy was bad because it was a masculine coded name. The character's name in the game, her name is Serona Ryan. So I saw somebody go, oh, so there's Sir in it, and her last name is Ryan. That's just typical masculine coded stuff. And I'm like, what? What the fuck are you talking about? And then somebody else commented under that tweet, and she agreed with it that, oh, there's the word Aryan in it. The word Aryan is mixed in it. Because the last letter of the first name is an A, and then there's a space, and her last name is Ryan. So, oh my god, it's like that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia clip where Charlie is like putting the dots on the wall and just going crazy. Like, oh my god, there's Aryan in the name. Like, come the fuck on. Like, turn off Twitter, go outside, talk to people in the real world, breathe real air. Just, what is this? What are you doing? Do you know how stupid that makes you look saying something like that? Like, what do you want exactly? What do these people want exactly? I want to know if they want this game to simply get canceled. And I don't mean like Twitter canceled. I mean like actual canceled, where it never comes out and nobody gets to play it. That's not going to happen. And if we're going to go with this logic, this real world logic that this is not going to happen, Hogwarts Legacy is not going to get canceled because you're crying about it on Twitter. And what do you want? And to suggest that that's even an attainable goal shows a total break from the real world. These motherfuckers are basically living in fake Twilight Town at this point. And I also want to see, when the time comes, I want to see the same exact level of shit being thrown at a company like Activision Blizzard or SNK that literally are co-funded by entities and people that support the death of others. SNK is mostly owned by the Prince of Saudi Arabia, who once had a fucking Washington Post journalist assassinated and liquefied. That's the guy that mostly owns SNK. So when the next SNK game comes out, when that Metal Slug Tactics game comes out, or when the next Fatal Fury comes out, is anyone going to make as much of a big stink about that as they are this? I want to see it, and if I don't see it, to me that is more than enough proof that the video games journalist industry is just a bunch of idiots. They're just a bunch of moral, hypocritical idiots. I want to end this video by specifically addressing the editor-in-chief of The Gamer, who is Miss Stacey Henley. And I want to address something to her as if she was sitting right in front of me. And what I would say to her if she was sitting in front of me would be, what do you get out of this? What do you, I really want to know, what do you get out of being this mean-spirited and cruel to somebody who was harassed and called like really negative things like transphobic and a TERF and all that shit on their Twitch stream? Why is it okay for you to write an article really questioning and playing down the severity of what happened when you do the exact same thing when somebody makes a mild criticism against one of your own or yourself? where you feel the need to go on Colin Moriarty's show and address his audience because they're harassing your website for writing a terrible clickbaity article about how Sifu being developed by a team of white people is problematic or a bad thing. Where does your moral standards lie as far as talking about this game, not wanting to, both wanting to and not wanting to talk about this game? Because the gamer as well posted this article about how, oh my god, the video games industry media is failing when it comes to addressing Hogwarts Legacy. And then they did this whole puff piece for Axios where they went, oh, we're losing revenue, not writing a review of Hogwarts Legacy or doing game guides for it. And then they proceed to write multiple articles criticizing Hogwarts Legacy, multiple articles with like rage clickbaity headlines that will then generate SEO click traffic for them. Yet please tell me about your lost streams of revenue, Miss Henley. I really want to know where this is coming from, where this mindset is coming from. And I just want to know if they feel good sleeping at night, knowing just how miserable they are. And there's normally a rule of thumb when it comes to interacting with people on Twitter, that people on Twitter, it creates this like warped version of who they are. Because reality, meeting people in the real world, you find out that people are a lot more nuanced and subtle than social media, especially Twitter, would have you believe. But I believe this also is a testament to somebody's real behavior, somebody's real ethics, somebody's real mindset, when they feel like it's okay to go online and attack others and start all of this drama and shame others and play this holier than thou card against others as well. I really want to know how well they sleep at night during this. I really want to know, does this make your life happier doing this kind of stuff? Do you feel good about yourself when you go to sleep at night, knowing that you're a massive hypocrite and that you are making Shelby from Girlfriend Reviews feel like an awful person, even though she didn't do anything wrong other than playing a fucking video game that you deemed was morally abhorrent, ethically shocking? So that's really all I want to say about this topic, because I don't want to talk about J.K. Rowling in my Hogwarts Legacy review. I don't want to talk about any of this in the review. All I care about when talking about Hogwarts Legacy is how Hogwarts Legacy is as a video game when it comes to that time. It's all I care about. So this video is for you all who want to know my thoughts on this. And really what it boils down to for me is, I don't give a flying fuck whether you play Hogwarts Legacy or not. If you want to play it till your heart's content, fine, go for it. If you don't want to play it because you don't want to support J.K. Rowling, fine, go for it. Yes, this is a very middle ground fence-sitting opinion, but to me, this is the most logical, reasonably sound-minded one to have. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all later. Goodbye.